Hello everyone, and welcome back to Basis and Practice in Programming. In this lecture, we are going to continue learning more about C programming, and we are going to cover about control statements and loop and branching. So far we learned in this course about how to create variables, how to do some convert from one data type to another data type. We learn about some basic arithmetics, and also we learn about logic operations. Also, we learn about how to make strings and how to make small or simple arrays in a string. And also we learn about how to use while loop and do while loop. So in this lecture, we are going to continue talking about loops, how to repeat one statement multiple times using something we call it for loop. And also we are going to learn new things today about something about conditioning, or we call it branching. So how to make some condition, and if the condition is satisfied, you will execute, and if the condition is not satisfied, you don't execute some part of the code. So this is what we are going to learn in this lecture about for loop and also about branching, or something we call it if statement. So let's start. Okay, so the lecture main topics, we are going to talk about for loop here. So as you see here, and we are going to talk about logic operations, how we can use logic operation for loop. Also, we are going to talk about multiple loops, how we can make not just a single loop, multiple loops, or something we call it nested loop. Also, we will talk about new things, and this is all about loop, but we will learn about something we call it if statement, and this one means condition. So for example, you will make some condition, and if this condition is okay, then you will execute some part of the code. And if this condition is not okay, you will execute another type of code, okay? So this is what we call it branching or if statement, okay? And also, as extension of this if statement, there is another thing related to, similar to if statement, something we call it switch statement, okay? So this is what we are going to learn by example in this lecture. Okay, so let's start first by the loop. If you remember last time, we use while loop, and we said while loop will be like this. We say while, and then we will put some condition here. So for example, if a is bigger than 5, do something, okay? So here is the code, and we will do that code. So that code will be repeated as long as this condition is true. If this condition became false, this loop will stop. Okay, so this is what we learned last time. So we will put some condition here, and or we call this one logic expression, and then while loop will repeat until this logic expression is invalid or not correct. Okay, today we are going to learn how to make the repeated code, or how to repeat or do something same like the while loop using something else. We call it for loop. So the for loop is like this example here. For example, here we say we have integer sum. Okay, so let's start by example, and then later I will let you know the official things about how to use for loop. So here is the sum equals 0, and then I equals 0. And here I will say starting from I equals 0 until I is less than or equal, and this is mean here the condition, okay? Until this one is true, until this condition or this logic, okay, until this logic is true, this is logic, okay? Until this logic is true, do some operation over I, so increase I, and then run this code. So this code will repeat, and every time I at the beginning it was equal 0, and then here this one mean I plus mean increase I, okay, increase I. So this one mean make I plus 1. So this one here mean I equal the old I plus 1. So this is the meaning of this one, I plus, okay? So we will repeat this code, and every time, every loop, we will execute sum equal the old sum plus I times I. Okay, I times I. And this one will be the result here. So n here is a constant, n is equal 4. So this one will be executed like as follows. So we will have, let's here have, okay, let's erase all here. And then this one will be like this. At the first time, we will have I equals, I is equal. So this loop, first time will execute like this. Sum, okay, equal sum plus I times I. Okay, so this is the meaning of this one. Okay, now I times I, this one at the first time I is equal 0. So this one will be 0 times 0 will be 0. So this one will be 0. And the sum here is equal 0. Okay, sum is equal 0. So that means the total value of the sum here is equal 0. Okay, so this is good. Okay, then now I ask, now because here I have I equal 0 until I is less than 4 and is equal 4, as you see here, until this one is I is less than or equal 4, do what? I plus 1. So I plus 1, that means now the new value of I is equal. So the new value of this is the first loop, or the first time you execute the code, it will execute this one. And also after that will be I equal I plus 1. So this is a plus mean I is equal I plus 1. I is equal 0 plus 1, it will be I is equal 1. So now I is equal 1. Next loop, let's go to the next loop. Next loop, I is equal 1, and 1 is smaller than or equal n. Yes, true, because 1 is smaller than or equal 4. That's true. So in this case, what I will do, I will do the sum. So the sum here will be, okay, old sum is equal 0. So this is the first loop. Now the second loop, sum, okay, sum equals sum plus I times I. So I is equal what now? 1 times 1, because it's updated here, it became 1, plus 0, so the new sum will equal 1, okay? And then after that, we go to the next loop. Next loop, now I is equal 1, but plus 1, it will be 2. So I is equal I plus 1. So I is equal 1. 1 plus 1 equal 2. So now I is equal 2. So 2 is smaller than 4? Yes, it's smaller than 4. So then execute this one again. So it will be sum equal sum plus I times I. And now I here is equal how much? Is 2. Okay, so I is 2. So 2 times 2, it will equal 4. So this will be 4. And the old sum is equal what? Old sum was 1. So 1 plus 4. And this one, the new sum will be what? 5. So far we execute this loop, this line 3 times. Now let's go to the next I plus 1. So I plus 1, that means I will be now 3. So I equal 3. So execute now sum again. So this one will be a new sum will equal 5, the old sum, plus, now I is equal to 3. 3 times 3 will be 9. So this will be 9. So 5 plus 9 is the new sum. Okay, so this one will be here 14. Okay, 14, and let's go again. Now I is equal to 3 now. Is 3 smaller than or equal n? Yes. Then in this case, execute this one more time. So now the new sum, let's go here from here. Just go up here, so you will execute. So now it will be new sum. New sum, that means this one. The new sum is equal the old sum. Old sum is 14. So 14 plus I times I. So I now is equal to 3. It's equal 4. because I increase. So I is equal to 3, and then yeah, after this one I forgot to put here I became 4 because there is a plus plus. Okay, so yeah, this one I is equal 4. So I is equal 4. So this one will be 4, but it will be 16. Okay, 16 plus this one is the new. This one will be 30. Okay, and now I equal 5. Okay, so is 5 is smaller than or equal 4? No, it's not. So in this case, stop. So this one will stop, and it will print for me here after this one stop. It will print for me the result is, and then this digit here and the sum. So sum will be 30. So as you see here, it's 30. Okay, so this is how. So what is the for loop doing here? It's doing, it will has the initial counter. This is initial counter, and this one is the condition, and this one how the counter is increased. The counter will increase one value every time you make loop. So this one will be increased after you execute the block here. After you execute the block, you will increase II. Okay, and this one will be the result. So here is it. This is the flow chart. So the beginning and the for loop, here is the for loop. At the beginning, II is equal 0, and then it will check, condition, check. Is II smaller than N? Yes. If it's yes, run what is inside the block of the for loop. Okay. If it's no, then just execute the next after the for loop. Okay, and then if the statement, if the C++ statement or the block inside the C, if the for loop is executed, then increase II++. Okay, and this is, maybe you saw this one here. Every time I execute line of code, I execute this line of code, and then after that I increase the counter. Okay, that means II++ is done after you finish the block of the code. Okay, this is very important here. So again, so this is how the for loop is. We will see several examples, but before I go to the several example, let me create for you the general logic of the for loop. So the for loop will be like this. The for loop will be for, and then you will put here initial counter. Okay, initial counter. So the initial counter, you put it II, RR, whatever the variable. And then you will put semicolon, and then you will put here some logic. This logic is AND logic. I bigger than N, T bigger than N, and bigger than V, whatever. So you put some logic here, okay? And then you will put some semicolon, and then you will put here what will happen to the counter after each loop. After each loop, what you want to have for the counter. So this one will be a counter update. You will update the counter. Okay, so this is how, and then you will open parentheses, and then you will put some code, some C code here. Okay, C code, and then you will close. That's it. This is the for loop. Okay, now what is the difference between the for loop and the while loop? The while loop is doing like this. The while loop will be while, and then there will be some logic here, some logic, same like this logic, okay? And then open parenthesis, close parenthesis. And this code here, inside the code, maybe you will have some counter. You will have some counter, and this counter at the end of here, update the counter. Update counter. So this one, the counter will has initial value here, initial value of the counter, or initial counter will be here, equals 0, for example. And then after that, you will update the counter. So every time you will, when you check the logic, you will check the counter, the inside here, the counter. If it's true, then run this code again. If it's not true, then stop. The same thing here, but now we don't put the counter in the code here inside the block. We put the counter inside the for loop main block. Okay, so this is the difference between the while and the for. So again, in the while, the counter will be inside the code. In the for loop, the counter will be inside the head of the for loop here. Okay? So no need to put the counter here as update for the counter here. So this is so whatever you want, another thing you need to remember, whatever you can do in the while loop, you can do it in the for loop. And whatever you can do it in for loop, you can do it in while loop. So it's your choice. So some prefer for loop, some people prefer while loop, and sometimes you would like to use any of them. Depends on how you see which one you will prefer. Okay, so this is how you can use this one. Okay, so now let's continue. Here is another example. In this example, we will have here, let's see, this example I'm seeing here, there is a character, and then I say, check the initial value of the character is A, okay? And then I say, this is the condition here. If the character is less than or equal Z, every time increase the character plus, okay? So every time this character start by A, but next time the character will be plus. So A has ASCII code, for example, 65. The next time the code will be 66, because this will be plus. And then that means it will be B, and then it will be C, and then and so on. So this one here, okay, so let's see this one together. Okay. Here is it. So I will have here, this is I copy from the slide directly. So I really don't recommend you to copy from the slides. You do it by yourself if you'd like to practice. So you will see and do it. Okay, so here is A, and then from A to Z. Okay, this is character Z. Okay, do loop. And now look here, maybe you will ask, where is the parenthesis here? There is no parenthesis. So if you have just one line of code inside the for loop, no, it's optional to put this one, optional. It's optional to put this one. But if you have multiple line of code, it's not optional. You must put this parenthesis, okay? So if it's only one line of code, it's optional to put this one. But if it's multiple line of code, not optional. You must put this parenthesis. So what this one will do here, let's see. This one, it will print the digit. So it will print the character, CH, and it will print the digit value of the same character. Okay, so this one will go from letter A, and then every time I increase the letter, so go to the B, go to the C, until Z. So let's see what this one will do. Here is it. You see the ASCII value. Okay, here is it. You see the message. The ASCII in the first loop, the ASCII value for A is 97. This is a small a, not capital A. Capital A is 65, and the small a is 97. So 97, and then plus. So you will print this one. Okay, this is the print of this message, and then you will increase the character +1. +1, that means will be 98. 98 is what? B. The character B, the decimal value of the character B is 98. Okay, and so on. You will go B, C, until all characters until Z. Then after Z, it will check plus, that means it will be 123. 123 is it smaller than or equal Z? No. So in this case, it will stop. It will not run, not print this code. It will just finish. Okay, it will go after this loop. So maybe after this one, I can print here, for example, print. I will say here print F, and then I will say, for example, after this one, I will say software terminated. Okay, so like this. And then I will do like this. Okay, so let's see. It will execute everything. It will keep this one until it will say software terminated. Okay, so what happened? Okay, so it's okay. Here's it. until 22, and then it will be software terminated finish. Okay, so this one. Okay, so this is how the for loop is working. You can make multiple lines inside the for loop. So let's see another example here. What I did in this one, I just changed the constant. If you see here, I changed the constant here. So I said n is equal 8, okay? And then I'm doing the same thing. But now, every time in the first time it will be this one, how this one is executing. Look, initial time it was 1, and now you have the same condition, but now here we say I is plus equal to. Plus equal to, that means I don't increase it by 1, increase it by 2. Okay, so this one will be like this. So let's see how this one is working. So the first time you run, I is equal 1, and then n is equal 8, and so this one will be like this. So sum is equal 0 at the first time. So sum, so I'm executing this line of code. This one is mean what? This one mean sum is equal sum plus I. Sum is equal 0, the old sum is equal 0, plus I now is equal what? 1. Okay, so here is it 1. Okay, so the new sum is equal 1. And then now I equal I plus 2. So this one mean what? This one mean I equal I plus 2. This is the meaning of this one. Okay, so this one is this one. Okay, so now this one, after this one finish, you execute this one. So this one will be mean what? I is equal 1 plus 2 is equal 3. Here we go. It's a 3. And then is it 3 less than 8? No, it's not less than 8. So execute this one again one more time. So sum equals sum plus I. And now sum is equal, old sum is equal 1 plus the new I is equal 3. So that means the new sum will be 4. Okay, and then now go again. I will be updated now. I is equal I plus 2. Plus 2, that means this I will be 5. Okay, so 5 is less than n? No, it's not less than f. So still, is it 5 is it smaller or equal n? Yes, it is smaller or equal 8. So that means everything is okay. Still true. So in this case, what you will do, sum again. So sum again is equal the old sum. Old sum is 4 and plus I is 5. So here is it. And that means the new sum will be 9. Okay. And then update I now equals 7. Okay. Then execute again. Is is smaller than or equal 8? Yes, still true. In this case, execute one more time. So sum equal the old sum 9 plus the new I is equal 7. So this one equal 7. So the total will be 16. Okay, and then now update I equal 7 plus 2, it equal 9. Okay, here we go. So now check, 9 is smaller than or equal n? No, that's not true. 9 is smaller than 8? No, that's not true. It's false. So if this one false, stop. So what will be the sum here? The last sum. The last sum was 16. So that's it. This is how this one is working. Okay? So this is how this example. You can try this one and it will do the same output. The result is 16. Okay. Another more example. So this one here, what I did, here I did another conditions. So I say here, n is 7, n and 7, and then I said here, I is equal n. That means equal 7. This is the initial value. So initial value of I is equal 7. And then I have condition here. I say, if I is more than or equal 1, then do the code. If it's not, and then stop. So if I is more than 1, yes, because look here, it's true. I is equal 7. So 7 is more than or equal 1, yes. 7 is more than, is bigger than 1. So in this case, that means this one is true, no problem. What I do here, every time after you finish this code, do what? Do I will do what happened to the I? It will be equal. The previous II minus 2. Okay, so this is the meaning of this sentence here. Okay, so this will be reverse. So that sum here will be what? Sum will be, initial sum will be 0, 0 plus II is 7. So okay, so that means that now go next. II will be minus 2. That means II now equal 5. Okay, new sum, the next line. So the sum is equal 7 plus the new II. The new II is 5. So this one will be 5. Okay, so 7 plus 5, this one, the new sum. And then update II will be minus 2, it will be 3. And then is it 3 more than or equal 1? Yes, so that means execute more, one more time. Sum is equal, it will be 12 plus 3. Okay, so this one, because this one 5 and 7, it will be 12 plus 3. Then II minus 2 is equal 1. Okay, 1. So II is now equal 1. Is 1 less than or equal 1? Yes, that's true. Then go execute this one again, one more time. Sum is equal 15 plus, what is the new value of I? Is 1. So it will be 16. And then II equal, the new II will be what? Minus 2. That means 1 minus 2, it will be minus 1. Minus 1 is less than or equal 1? No. So then that means stop. So the final sum will be what? 16. I hope this one is clear after those several examples. Okay, now here is another example. So I want you to check here. So this is an array, and in this array you will have here empty array, and this array contains 7 elements. Okay, this array contains 7 elements. So here is it. The array will contain 7 elements. This one, the result array, contains 7 elements. Element number 1, element number 2, 3. So element number 0, element number 1, element number 2, element number 3, element number 4, element number 5, element number 6. That's it. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, so here is it. So element number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so those are 7 elements. Okay, 7 elements. Okay, so those are the 7 elements of the result. This one is the result. 7 elements. Okay, element number 0, element number 1, and each element. So this element, if you want to edit this element, you will say this one is to, you can edit this element, write some value here, you can put some value here, you can read some value from here, you can do whatever you want. Okay, so I want you now as exercise to tell me what is this code output. Okay, what is the output of this code? Okay, you need to do this one by yourself. Okay, here's it. So this one here, result 0. So this one is the print of this loop. So you have now 2 loops here. You have 2 loops. In the first loop, I am doing what? I'm saying from I, n minus 1, n is 7. So 7 minus 1, that means 6. From I equals 6, and jj is equal 0. So those, you see here, two initial situation, and jj equals 0. So there are 2 initial things here. That's fine? Yeah, that's fine. And then here's the condition. The condition here after the semicolon, there is a condition here. And in this condition, I'm saying if jj is smaller than n, continue execute this code. But if it's not, then stop. And what you do here, I say ii minus minus, and then jj plus plus. What is ii minus minus? This one is mean I is equal old I minus 1. What is the jj plus plus? This one mean jj equal the all jj plus 1. Okay, so this is the meaning of this one. So there are two update variables. So this one update, and this one is the initial, and this one is the logic. Okay, between them there is a semicolon here. Okay, now in here what I do, I say result jg, that means result 6 from the array element number 6. Where is it? That means this guy. Okay, this guy. So I say result jj is equal what? I want to give some value here in the question mark. I want to give some value. So I say this guy result 6. Oh, sorry. This one is 0, 0. So jj is 0 here. So this one is 0. So result 0, that means this guy. Okay, sorry. So okay, I want this guy. Okay, so let's go here. So I say result jj, that means result. Okay, result element number 0. Element number 0, that means this guy, element number 0. Okay, that element number 0, I want it to equal ii plus jj. So ii is equal now how much? 6. Look here, ii is equal 6. Maybe you say, oh, ii is equal 0. No, but now I change it, equal 6. Okay, so it was 0, but now it be equal in the loop, it became 6. Okay, so it will be 6 plus 0. Okay, 6 plus 0, it will be 6. So now that means this guy contains 6 value. Okay, now next, go to the next. Is jj still smaller than n? Yes, still smaller than n. Why? Because jj now, after this one, I will say jj equal all jj plus 1. That means it's equal 1. Okay, look here, from I plus plus here. So that means jj now is equal 1. Is 1 smaller than 7? Yes, then go to the next. Result jj. Result jj means result 1. That means this guy. Okay, result 1. Result 1 is equal ii now also another thing. Ii in the previous loop. In the previous loop there are two things here. Jj is jj plus plus and ii minus minus. So ii became what? The 6 minus 1, it will become 5. Okay, so jj became 1 and ii became 5. And then let's go. Element result 1, that means this guy, result 1 is equal 1 plus 5. It will be equal 5 plus 1. 5 plus 1, which equals 6. So that means this guy also contains 6. Then after that, what you will do, ii minus minus. So ii minus minus will become what? This one became what? 4. And then jj became plus plus. That means this one became 2. Okay, and then now jj is equal 2 and ii equal 4. So now let's go. Result 2. Result 2 means this guy. Result 2, this element. This element is equal 4 plus 2. That means this one is equal 6. Okay, and then again, one more time. ii minus minus, that means this one will become 3. And this one became 3. Okay, to increase, this one decrease, this one decrease, this one increase. Okay, and then again, result 3. Result 3 means this guy. Result 3 is equal 3 plus 3. That means this one is equal 6. Okay, still jj is smaller than n. Yes, still smaller than n. Then now this one became 4. And this one became 2. Okay, and now result 4, that means this guy, result 4 is equal 2 plus 4. That means it equals 6. And then change this jj. Jj became 5. And this one became 1. Is 5 less than n? Yes, still less than n. In this case, result 5, that means this guy, result 5 is equal 1 plus 5, that means it equals 6. Okay, and then this one became what? 6. And this one became 0. Is JG is less than N? Here, is this than N? This one here, it will be yes. This one, okay, let me just check this one. Okay, I will stop here, just keep this one. I will continue, but I need to check this code. Okay, so let's see this code. I will execute this code. Okay, here we go. So I delete the main here. Okay, so I'll check this one. I will change this one to quotation. Okay, quotation. Yeah, everything I think is. Oh, I need constant here. I will say, okay, define. Define and 6. Is it an and 7? Okay, 7. Okay, that's good. Yeah, I think this one is fine now. Let's execute this one. Yes. Oh, here we go. So this is the output from 0 to 6. Okay, so this one 6, 0. This one 0. One. Ah, we forgot case of 1 here. Start of J and then it's become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until 5. So 5 plus 1. Yeah, so I just missed 1 when I trace this code. So it's working fine, but just I miss 1 case, okay, at the beginning. So yeah, this one will work fine and it will print. And then, okay, this one is to fill. So this one will be 6 also. So this one will be the case of 6. So this one will be all cases. So we will fill all of them with 6. And then what is this loop is doing? This is another loop. So this one is one loop alone for fill data inside the array. Because this is result, you put some value inside the array. You put some value inside the array. Now, what is this one is doing? This one, I am printing message result and some number equals some number. And then the first number will be I is equal to 0. That means this one will be 0, 0, I is equal to 0. Then N is less than N. So I is less than N, I plus plus. So increase. This is just normal loop. And then here equal and then another number. What is the another number? This number is this one, the contents of the array. The contents of the array, this is the read the contents of this II. Result of 0, result of 1, result of 2, result of 3. So it will read all elements of the array. So this one is result 0, result 1, result 2, result 3. So this one is the number. So this one and this number is just II. So this one is the II. So this one will print this message and this message contain, so result 3 and equal. So this is the message equal and this is the value of the array. This one is the value of the array. Okay, so result of element 0, result of element 1, result of element 2, element 3, and so on until element 6. Okay, so this one will be executed for 7 elements of the array. Okay, from 0 to 6. Okay, so this is how this one is done. Here, can we, there is a question here. Can we delete the initial value here? Look here, there is no initial value. I put the initial value, same initial value, I put them outside. Is it possible to do that? The answer is yes, you can do that. You can remove the initial value and put it outside, no problem. Okay, or even also you can put this one outside. So this one, maybe if you want, you can put this one inside the loop and you don't put any initial value, any update value outside of the loop. So let's play with this code. So here what we will do, let's play with this code here, for example, the same code. So II is equal n minus 1 and JG is equal 0. So how about I take this one, Control X, take them to outside, so it's empty here after the semicolon. But do I have to put the semicolon? Yes, you must put 2 semicolons inside the loop. Must. One after the update, and one for the logic, and one for the update. So one for the initial, one for the logic, sorry, and one for the update. And then what I will do here, I will put this one outside. So I will do like this. And II is equal n minus 1 and JJ is equal 0. I do like this. Okay, so this one, what we will have here. So II is equal n minus 1 and JJ is equal 0. So this one will be okay. Okay, so II. Okay, and this one semicolon here. Okay, you can do like this. Okay, so you put them outside. And then let's see if this code is run okay. Okay, so let's execute. Okay, I think it's running. Oh, here's it. Yeah, here's it. Okay, so the code is running fine, no problem. Now, how about if I take this one? I take this one after the same. This is an update. I put this one here and then I put it here like this and put semicolon. Can I do that? Yes, you put them inside. This is will be very similar to the while loop. In this case, let's run. Okay, so here you will have II is, oh, sorry, I should put this one not before the loop. Usually we put this one after the end of the loop here on the end. Okay, you put it here. Okay, so sorry, we should not put it here. This one will be done after we execute the code of the loop. Okay, so let's see if this one is okay. Yes, it's okay. You see the same output. Okay, so this is, you can play with the for loop if you want. So you can take the initial and the last. Even this one you can take it outside. You can take it and you will make this one, but you can, this one you need to put it, if you want to take it, in this case you need to do something, we call it if statement. We will study this one later, not now, okay? But for now, keep this one and you can take this one outside and you can take this one inside at the end of the loop. Can I put this one here? No, you must put this one at the end of the loop. All the update condition must be at the end of the loop. Okay, it's up to you, it's your choice. But if you want, but normally we put them like this. So we put the initial and the final here. Okay, so this is the normal situation. This is the normal situation for writing a loop. You need to update, you need to put the update, the initial, the logic, and the update. Okay, so this is okay. Now let's go to the another things is loop inside loop. Can we do loop inside loop? Yes. So one loop and then inside that loop execute another loop. Okay, so this one would be like this. You have a loop. Okay, so you have a loop. Okay, and inside this loop, you will do another loop. Okay, you will do another loop. Okay, so this loop will be done, and then after this done, you will go another loop from outside and do this loop again one more time. Okay, and then again from outside do another loop and so on. So this is loop inside loop. So every loop, so look here, from I equals 0 to I plus plus until 7, until n is equal 5, sorry, n is equal 5. So that means this loop, the code inside this loop, will be done 5 times. So let me write down here, code, okay, code inside this loop, okay, this loop executed how many times? I know how many times. Why? From I equals 0 to I less than n. From 0 to 4. from 0 to 4, that means 5 times will be executed 5 times. How I know? Because I every time I is increased just 1. Increase just 1, and then I from 0 to I less than n. N is 5. So from 0 to 4, because 5 is not less than n. So 5 is not. So from 0 to 4. From 0 to 4, that means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 steps. So that means any code inside here will be executed 5 times. That means this guy will be executed. Sorry. Okay, let me just erase everything here so you will not be confusing. So that means this code is inside the loop. Look here. This code. Okay, this code inside the for loop, because it start here and finish here. Okay, this code will run 5 times. This one run 5 times. Okay, it will run 5 times. Okay, now what is this code here? This is another loop. This loop will print this loop here inside the loop here. This loop starts from 0 to n. Okay, start from 0 to n. N is what? 5. It will do what? A plus every time, just 1, increase 1. So from 0 to 4, that means also this loop inside here. Okay, let me just see here. So okay, that means this loop here, this loop, okay, this loop here, this loop will run how many times? This loop will run 5 times, from 0 to until you just keep 1, 2, 3, 4 until n less than n. That means less than 5. So that means it will be from 0 to 4. That means it will run how many times? This one will run 5 times also. Okay, 5 times. So this one, the loop will run 5 times, and each time you run this one, this loop will run also 5 times. That means this one print some number I times JJ. This number will be printed how many times? 5 times 5. Okay, so let's see. This one will be printed like this. It will be exactly like so. It will be 5 times 5. It will be 25 numbers will be printed. Why 25 numbers will be printed? Because the first red loop will run 5 times, and every time you run, this loop will execute it 5 times. That means this loop will be print on the screen how many numbers? 5 numbers. So 5 numbers each time. So it will print 5 numbers, and those numbers will be, for example, it will be 0 and 0. So it will be 0. The next number for this one, the first time, 0. And then it will be 1. And then it will be, I don't know, so it will be 0. And this one, it will be, I think, 0. Yes, it will. Everything will be 0. Because I is equal 0 first time. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 5 times. And then go outside and make a new line. So new line, here we go. Then I now became 1. I increased. So 1 times, execute again. J is equal 0. 0 times 1 equals 0. Then 0 times 1, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then new line. And then it will be here, this one, I will be 1 and JG will equal 0, so it will be 0, and then this one will be 1, and so on. So it will continue. It will be 0, and then 2, and then 4, and so on. Okay, so this is how this one. Why it's making a new line, and what is the space here? The space here is the tab. You see the tab here? Dash T. This dash T means tab. So there is a tab space here. Tab space. And from where this one go new line? Because of this one. A new line. Print a new line. Okay? So this one, how this for loop is working. Okay? So this is loop inside loop. Okay, now let's go to another condition. So So far we just explained the for loop and how you can make for loop and write some code inside for loop. So there will be for inside loop inside loop. So I will stop here for this video for the for loop, and then I will continue in the next video talking about how to put some conditions or how to put execute some condition. We call this one if statement. So I will stop here for the for loop, and we'll continue next video.